How's it going, YouTube? Navysooner here. Today, we're taking comm block and Americanizing it. This is the Palmetto State Armory PSAK GF3-E. Yeah, along, I know, PS, Palmetto State, AK, GF3. And yes, this is a GF3, and the GF3 has been out for a while, but they upgraded the GF3 a little bit, and they put it out in this style right here. The E on GF3-E stands for enhanced, I guess. There's nothing that says what it is, but they took the GF3, like I said, and upgraded it a little bit and put it out at a very good price. There are GF4s and GF5s, and then the 100 series, and then like the AK-74 and whatnot. But I mean, this is still a great AK. I consider the GF3 to be probably the very first viable American-made AK on the market. There might be people out there that like lose their shit and say other companies are more viable than this, but I mean, this is the very first viable American-made AK in my opinion. Just to get some of the specs of the original GF3 that doesn't have all this stuff on it out of the way, it does not have a cold hammer forged barrel, but the barrels are pretty good, and it has a cold hammer forged trunnion as well as bolt carrier. Like I mentioned, it doesn't have a cold hammer forged barrel, but they're decent barrels. They're 4150 nitrided steel. The GF4 and GF5 have cold hammer forged barrels. They might have it in this configuration on their website with this rail, but I didn't see it when I was ordering it. But I just wanted to go with this one because it was less than $1,000. This was $999.99, so like right at $1,000. Give me a penny, but yeah, whatever. So that's why I chose this one, because of the way it is. I don't need to go and buy a new handguard and put it on there and add to a gun that like the GF4 and 5s are just as much as this, but not upgraded. I will say, out of the box, the iron sights that came on it, they were almost spot on at 50 yards. Didn't need to do much tinkering with it. This is got the barrel, the gas block, and the sight in this one is the same thing, and you have the typical AK leaf sight on the rear. So let's get into the enhancements of the GF3-E, the PSAK GF3. First up, like the biggest notable difference from the originals is the handguard. This has a JL billet handguard on it. It is M-lock all the way around, almost all the way around where you can get M-lock, except for on top, and it's got some Picatinny rail up here. And down here, you do have some QD spots on each side. I added a QD spot in here because the light gets in the way, and sometimes I use a sling that has a QD, sometimes I use a sling that has a hook on it, so that's why I have this string here as well as the QD spot on it. But there's also two QD spots up here on each side. When I first put the light on here, I was running the pressure pad, a different one on the side here, and I decided to move it later on. The handguard gets warm, but I don't feel much heat in it when I am shooting it, especially when I'm shooting a lot with it. I've put about 2,000 rounds 7.62 by 39 through this. I purchased this gun probably back in December. It was December when I purchased this rifle, and it's the handguard, when I put a lot of rounds through it, doesn't really get too hot at one time. So that's really nice. And then having the M-lock capabilities on the handguard is pretty cool. And it goes out pretty far, so I can get my light on there further out. Yes, I have an extension on it, but I have this Surefire out pretty far. Early on in the process of running this gun and testing it and just having fun with it while I'm trying to figure out if this is a good gun or not, I had the red dot mounted up here where my pressure pad was. And that doesn't hold zero very well at all, especially because the handguard likes to move back and forth like that. And then I did a drop test with this on here, and it didn't hold zero very well at all. Here I'll run in some of the footage from my drop test. Well, that's a really shitty group, but we will go with it. This is the first group. So let's drop it and see how the group goes. This is the second group. It's a tighter group because I took my time, but if you notice, it shifted that way. So I'm gonna go drop it again, but on the other side, and see how that shift goes. So our next shots are here, here, and here. So this is the group. I would venture to say that group movement, that rail probably isn't gonna hold amazing zero. I mean, it's still minute a man at 25 yards, but the further you get out, if you drop it, probably you'll be having a hard time. Only thing that I don't like about this handguard, like I mentioned, is the fact that it's got some play in it. I don't know if I can get it to focus here, but it's got probably, I don't know, a couple of millimeters of play back and forth, and up here on top it can rotate just slightly either way. When I first got it, this fit really tight, and as I was shooting it, it just kind of started getting loose. I know that I could probably put some stuff in there to get it to wedge in there harder, but this probably just isn't a good rail to have anything that you need to zero on it. The trigger on this AK is the ALG trigger, ALG owned by Geisley, and it's really nice when it comes to poundage. It's only about 2 3/4 pound, right around there when I pull on the trigger gauge. But the problem that I have with it is there's like no discernible wall on it whatsoever. There's like no wall. It's just all straight through. So it's kind of like a 2-stage trigger and a single stage at the same time, but there's no definitive wall of when it's going to break. So trying to guess when it's going to break, if you're trying to do something really precise, is kind of hard. But I can run this trigger really, really fast. So that's a good thing about the trigger, is that I can run it pretty good and fast. But I mean, there's just no wall. The reset is good, but I might have actually, I don't know if it was me not getting to the reset or if I was outpacing the trigger, because I don't think I can pull trigger that quick, but I felt like I outpaced the trigger at one point or two while I was testing this gun out. Run faster than the trigger, I guess. The muzzle device that came on this Palmetto State PSAK GF3 is a JMac muzzle brake, and it's pin and welded on there because the barrel is 14.5 inches, so that makes this to be pin and welded to get it to the legal 16 inches. The brake is awesome when it comes to like mitigating recoil from 7.62x39. Now granted, there's not that much from 7.62x39, but there's a lot more than 5.56, and this helps me keep my muzzle down. It's great. It keeps it down. It doesn't push it down because there's nothing on top that comes out. It just pushes everything to the side. That being said, it's really fucking loud. Muzzle brake is loud as shit. Yeah, I mean, that's it, being loud, but it does have chemo on it, so that way, the key mount on it, so that way I can throw my dead air can on it and shoot it with my can if I want to. And it is concentric, so I've run it with the can, and it runs more gassy. It's an AK. Yeah. AKs are more gassy than ARs. They're more gassy than ARs. Now, yes, they're more gassy than ARs, but there's less gas that comes into your face when you're running a suppressor on it. It's just how they run. They're AKs. Another enhancement is the safety. It's kind of like that Krebs style safety, where it's got that ledge here for you to be able to run it with your trigger finger, and running it with your trigger finger like that makes it to where you can get to the trigger faster rather than like having to do the old style when it's up, coming up with your thumb and coming back, or like reaching up here and coming back. It's just a lot faster being able to use it that way. One fun thing about this safety is like it has the stop for the automatic spot, but it's not automatic. It still fires in that position. But it's not full auto. So all you guys at the ATF, you can get your unconstitutional panties out of a wad. It's not really fully auto. You can see here that there's an adapter on the rear of the AK so that it can run a buffer tube. The buffer tube is a mil-spec buffer tube, and I have a Magpul MOE stock on here. There were a couple things that I disliked about this buffer tube. It was really loose, like the stock rattled on here really a lot. And I tried other stocks on it to see if they rattled, and they did. So I threw a little bit, you can see it here, I threw a little bit of electrical tape there, and it's pretty tight now. Yeah. The second thing I don't like about this buffer tube is it's all the way in, except for it can like move back and forth just like that. And it's not this, it's the tube itself. So I mean, and even if I get it turned all the way to where it won't move anywhere, it's not straight here. And for all you people that are like, tighten your castle nut down and it won't happen, it's down all the way. It's down all the way. It ain't going anywhere. Plus they even staked it too, so that's not the issue. So y'all are idiots if you want to say something like that. Anyways, I'll probably, if I keep this gun, which I am more than likely going to be keeping this gun, I'm going to be changing out the stock here to something else, something cooler, something more fun. I would, if I did keep this, put a riser on here for my cheek well position. That way I can have a better cheek well when I see through this. Luckily Magpul has attachments that you can do that with these. One smaller enhancement on this gun is it's got a Magpul Mo grip on it. And that's about it for the enhancements. It has, like all GF3s, it has the side rail here, and what I have running on it is a Midwest Industries side rail for my red dot. When I changed the red dot from over here to here and I put this pressure pad on here. I changed pressure pads, and the constant on button is a little bit higher, so I put on a 1/2 inch riser from Wheeler to be able to clear it. I mean, it was cleared before, but it just helps it out and I can see better. So that's what I have here, and this is the MD20 by Primary Arms. It's like the enhanced red dot, but I cracked the glass here when I was changing it over. I dropped it on my tile, and yeah, well, I don't know if dropping it on the tile is a part of Primary Arms fixing shit. So hey, if you're a part of Primary Arms and Warranties department, my email's below if you want to get a hold of me and say, hey, yeah, send it in and fix it. Like I also discussed, I'm running this Surefire light on here, the M300 Scout Mount light on here with this pressure pad from Surefire, and I'm running a Slate Black Industries hand stop. Before I was running the hand stop, I was running the BCM foregrip, and I changed it out to this because, well, whenever you're trying to run a magazine, it's harder to get it in and out with a little, kind of like the Wassers that have the dongle, the Romanian dongle. It's harder to get it in and out. I just went back to this hand stop. Don't get me wrong, the VCM hand grip is great, and I liked it, especially when I was running my pressure pad down here for my light, because it was a little bit easier to hit. But like any other gun guy, you're always constantly tinkering with shit, right? Now, this gun ran great. It felt great, shoot fast. It just has a couple of slop issues when it comes to this and when it comes to this. It was very flat, especially because of the brake, and I had a lot of fun shooting it. The accuracy is what you'd expect of an AK, and I mean, I was hitting out to 200 yards, standing on a full-size target, on a full-size steel target, and yeah, I was having no issues. There's a couple things that I'd like to see them change, maybe try and get these tighter and try and figure out what's going on with this. But other than that, it's been a great gun. A cool little thing is, so on like the Tula and the Ishmash stamps in Russia on their AKs, or even their SKSs, the SKS, also known as the Antifa AK. But this little stamp here kind of reminds me of the Tula stamp from, it's the Palmetto State Armory stamp, but I mean, kind of reminds me of that. But it was a fun gun. It's a great gun. Probably not going to get rid of it because I really like it. And yeah, that's it for the GF3-E. Navysooner out. Well, you've gotten all the way this far. If you like my channel, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It's really appreciated. I have a subscribe star that has absolutely no content over there. It's just a way for you to be able to donate to me to help keep my channel running, because this is expensive. And for all of you that want to bitch about that, well, I mean, then don't donate to me over there. But if you would like to donate to me and you don't have to worry about a subscription style service, like monthly style subscription service, and you just want to think I'm a cool guy and you throw some money at me, I'll take it. And you can go ahead and do that at PayPal. My email address to use that you can get money to me over on PayPal is navysoonerchannel@gmail.com. You can also get a hold of me by emailing me there if you'd like to.